Ooh, welcome back to part two. There could have been many quickies, dozens of quickies, but I I did read, I've caught up. I started with Mariko Tamaki, her Detective Comics run, and this current arc has been going on for 11 issues, and I didn't really want to get into all that was going on. Just know that Barbara has been popping up a great deal. She's been working with people. She's been working with Huntress, which would seem shocking, except that they were on the same team with Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. And Cass and Steph have been working, which once I was reading that stuff with Steph, I was like, wow, this character is different than when I'm reading Batgirls. So, Detective Comics, what's going on, and I just thought that maybe I should wait. So I don't know if the next issue ends the arc and then we'll start a new one, but we'll see. So I took it, Ken, and I'm listening to you. We also have Batman number 121, and there was really nothing to report except Batman. Get this, people. Batman says you were right. To Barbara. And it's really tough for him to celebrate wins, which he acknowledges to her. And, he doesn't often say things like you were right to other people. So I'm proud of you, Batman. And, I've mentioned it a couple times, but don't forget the maps back up. And Batman actually ends up calling her Robin at the end. And I don't know if this is going to be a continuing backup or if that moment will have ramifications. We then had Superman, Son of Kal-El number 9, which was the Superman Nightwing crossover part 2 of 2. Nightwing promised Clark Kent that while he's off planet, Nightwing would look after Clark's son John as he tries to fill his father's shoes as Superman. But with someone out there murdering superpowered people, is Nightwing in over his head? And here Dick helps John after there wasn't actually any Barbara moments here. Trying to think if she popped up reading, but just with Dick and John and that situation, he helps John after a guy dies right in front of him, comforting him. He offers to be his mentor. He also offers a lollipop from somewhere, which is of course a joke from the Nightwing issue, and he wears a Comic Codes shirt, so that continues on in the different t-shirts that pop up. But that was certainly a emotional and well-written scene between Dick and John after that exploding man happened. But yeah, I want to go through probably quickly here. Nightwing 90, as you can see, BFFs, so shipperific for sure. Get Grayson Act 3, writer Tom Taylor, artist Geraldo Borges, and colorist Adriana Lucas, a Nightwing and Wally West story, part 1 of 2. When it's easier to go buy bagels as Nightwing than as Dick Grayson because everyone is either trying to get him for his money or kill him for the price on his head, Nightwing realizes he'll need to enlist the help of his Teen Titan friends as his bodyguards. And the first to volunteer is, of course, his best friend, Wally West, aka The Flash. And this just always reminds me of, I shouldn't say always, but this reminds me of in my vintage section whenever Barbara is having issues with Dick or is concerned for Dick, that he reaches out to Wally. So I think between Wally and Donna being those two pillars in Dick's life. So Oracle alerts Dick to a military drone with missiles heading straight to his building, but his sister already alerted him, but that's at least with this hearing aid guide. Yeah, so that's at least where we see Barbara. She doesn't play a huge role in this particular one. She later agrees with Wally. You can see here Wally gets the news item and runs off to go save his buddy. Wally says you should probably maybe lay low a bit. And Barbara actually, I shouldn't say actually, she does often, but she also agrees that this would probably be a good idea. Let's see. There are a couple of things I saw. Yeah, there are fun moments. So Wally here zips Dick Grayson away from the apartment building that just got destroyed. By the way, what's her name? Clancy, right? It appears I don't remember that she was in this room before, was she? Her name is Clancy, right? Bridget Clancy, yeah. Okay. Whew. I don't remember her being in this story before. And this guy with the hearing aid and thinking he's gonna was a fun moment. What did he say? Can't remember. He broke into my bedroom, threw me out of a window, and blew up my home. And Dick says that is not what happened, though I can see how chronologically it would appear that way. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, so Wally zipping him away and then Dick being just frazzled and uh, Linda saying, "Oh, are you okay? You know, I know it's a terrible habit of what Wally does," and just pretends as if everything's normal and gets stuff bedded down. Some pronoun uses here. Dick asks Wally to get our dog. I wonder who the our is. I imagine is Barbara. I thought that was pretty big. There's another shipperific moment later on that will happen. Got the DC Comics logo there. This is just, I mean, I could spend a lot of time on these issues, but just really well written, honestly, by Tom Taylor here. Dick, Wally has this wall of all these photos, and then Dick asks, where are you? What have you figured out? And Wally says, I don't have a plan, I just have these photos stuck to my wall. So, very basically scratch. Barbara is, I mean, some fools decide to try to kidnap my girl here. It's not gonna work. She just kind of plays along, and then she's in this refrigerated unit. So Wally, it's at one point says, Oracle, what's up? And she says, I've been kidnapped at gunpoint and thrown into the back of a refrigerated van. You? So it's pretty funny. Shipperific moment. Dick says, these people are willing to kidnap people I love to get to me. So we're using the L word we did in 2003, and we're doing it here now. And whoop, sorry, almost missed this particular panel, which I actually tweeted out to Tom Taylor as well and said, well played, sir, well played. But Bab says, Nightwing, they're after you. They fridged me to get to you. So I just love, right? This is very much women in refrigerators. Literally, they fridged her because she's in a refrigerated van. And figuratively, they fridged her because they're kidnapping her in order to get to Dick Grayson. So that was really artfully done. And I think maybe that's it. Well, we got KG Beast popping up, and I did not read the era, but I guess he shot Dick in the head. And I think that brought us to the Rick era, right? And then Wally's like, oh man, we have a long list of friends who wanted to get their hands on you. I'm very glad I got to get to you first. So just best friends and protecting Dick. Sorry, wrong one. Okay, and finally, and the main event, we've got Batgirls number 4, One Way or Another, Part 4. Batgirls. Story, Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. Art, George Corona, and colors, Sarah Stern. At the loft, Steph is somewhat upset with her phone, but fibs to Cass about it. This is probably related to that selfie she took in issue 2, but who knows what that plot point is or was. Steph says she'll have to train her poker face so Cass can't read her, and explains the difference between bluffing and lying. Having relegated the Seer/Dick thing to off-panel land, we see Babs talking to Dick to reassure herself he's okay. And while she doesn't look tired at all, she apparently spent the night rebuilding the firewall. Babs says they have too many threats, so they need to focus on one at a time, starting with Tudor. She's going to put filters in their masks, and they have the day off. They decide to go to the bookstore, and the owner seems to know a lot about Cass, especially in the book he offers her. She gets the first book for free, which is lovely. I wish all bookstores did that. Later, the serial killer neighbor appears to pick up a large order, and Steph watches. She later observes him outside with a shovel, and exiting her hiding spot in the bushes, she bumps into Babs' old flame, Charles Dante. Cass doesn't like him and says his face is like a mask, so she can't read him. Later that night, as Batgirls, they go off in search of Tudor, following the tracker that was put on him in the previous issue. Elsewhere, the Saints track the Batgirls but do not intercept. The Batgirls break in somewhere and find Tudor, who looks like half a Red Skull, and several of his students. Even with the filters in, Steph gets manipulated once more. He orders her to take care of Cass, but Cass uses the power of best friendship and knocks her out of it. Steph then lets Tudor have it both verbally and physically. The Batgirls transport Tudor in Bondo while Smash Mouth's All Star plays repeatedly because there's a tape jammed in the tape deck, but hey, the editor loves it, so why not? They drive Bondo with Tudor to Charles Dante per Babs's request because of Dante's art therapy rehabilitation. Once the Batgirls exit, we see that Tudor was working for Dante as he pleads for forgiveness, but he is not Dante. He is Spellbinder. Next, 3 Batgirls are better than 2. Well, I mean, we should, instead of Carolyn knows, we should say Stella knows, because here we've got yet another cover without Barbara Gordon on it. We have the Batgirls, and then we're continuing with the spray paint theme of Tudor, which I imagine will end in the next issue. And yeah, not seeing his face, but seeing Cass and Steph. Okay, so the Spellbinder Reveal, which I guess I can go to the end here. It was solicited as a new villain, even though we know that he exists in Batman Beyond. But the good thing about this is it may explain why Stephanie is susceptible to what has been going on with her, right? I keep asking the question of why is Steph getting hit with this, but nobody else? Because if you notice, she has a spellbound poster behind her in the beginning. I'll go back to that. In the previous issue, as well as this one, when she's under the influence, there is a spellbinder pattern in the panel. Let me see if I can find that poster, which I don't know if that means anything to us, but at least a detail. So if that's not the reason that Spellbinder, is somehow there and manipulating Steph in a deeper way, then there better be a reason, or I call sloppy writing. I actually really enjoyed this issue. I don't know. Was I coming at it differently? Was it just jiving a bit better? I don't know, but I think I liked this one the best out of all of them so far. I thought the humor was at a good level. We got to see a normal day in the life of the ladies. There was only one threat that was focused on. So, you get that normalcy that we saw. Basically, it feels like a BQM book, right? We get the normalcy. We get focus on one thing rather than inundated with a bunch of stuff coming at us. So that was good. I get it was kind of meta in the fact that Barbara was telling us something that we also wanted. And, there were some flaws, but I just feel like this was the best issue so far. And even though awkwardly, we have not only the third person omniscient narrators that are popping in here, as well as editorial boxes in white, I either just ignored the purple boxes or they didn't feel as intrusive to me as issue 3. Issue 3 just seemed like too much. So this one was, I think, better. I like this bluff, lie, deception talk. I thought it was, interesting, teaching Cass about something. And, to go back to Donovan's email, not that Steph is or Cass is an idiot here, but just kind of the nuances between these terms. I think it makes sense that she might not get that necessarily. And then that Steph actually uses that, I can read micro expressions too. That she was chatting or seeing that Babs was, are you okay? You look tired. And then Cass says, you're bluffing. And then Steph says, oh, that was a test to see if you pick up. Now you're lying. So there are just some fun. I thought that was a pretty fun moment. And also how they framed that with Cass's face being in the foreground and Steph being in the background. I don't like the Barbara stuff here just because I think it was really weird given how we ended last issue. That the last thing Seer had popped in, right? They were gonna have phone sex. Seer pops up, you see this Dick Grayson on the monitor, all bloody. She rushes out, And then, "Oh, everything's okay, actually." What? Why would you do that? This is awful. I don't know. I don't like off panel end, but this is pretty bad. Plus, in my opinion, she doesn't look tired at all. Feel like, where are the bags? I mean, this is got the shoulder situation, but whatever. I like the bookstore scene, but I do wonder, does this guy know? I mean, he's talking about a secret identity. There's actually this is best for you. Calls them besties and everything, which is great. But yeah, I don't know, very suspicious. Then we've got Mr. Green again. Steph is still on the case there. Who knows? I do like that the girls um no, I'll get back to that, I think. Here. I do like this scene where you've got Cass stepping out and you see a bunch of purple faces and different expressions, and I think that just goes to show Cass and her abilities to, yeah, read micro expressions. It connects to, I think, Cass's actual character, and then as well as, the rest of this story here. And then the headwear bubbles pop up again because Steph is hiding in a bush, which I thought was pretty funny, and looking out for this Mr. Green guy. Who even knows? Who knows? I like how the girls are focusing on one bad guy. I think it works for the girls. It works for readers. We never forget that there are other threats out there. All you have to do really for Barbara, she mentioned Seer. Okay, we know Seer's still around. We see the Saints 2 times, but there's no engage. So we're reminded, but we don't need to have everything kind of piled on us. Like, yeah, let's just focus on Tudor. When they actually go out, here's this guy, right? We know that he's a bit creepy. Charles Dante. Ah, okay. When they go out and do their night stuff, I really like this page where they're together. And then the next panel where they look like actual bats or kind of in the Dracula way where they're going off. I like those two panels a great deal. I'm not sure what happened to Tudor's face. I imagine it has to do with the gas that he's been using. And then of course this picture is that, I guess that's him, question mark, though he's lost his eyebrows. Not really sure if we'll get any background on him. We don't have much of anything about Tudor, to be honest, except that he's a threat. And yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to think, do we care enough to figure out who he is? We have 2 more issues left. We've got Spellbinder. We're going to focus on Spellbinder and forget about Tudor. I kind of like backstory with my villains. I mean, it'd be interesting. Hopefully, in figuring out who Spellbinder is, we'll figure out why he's using Tudor as his minion. I do like, so here we go. Steph, unfortunately, she's really fighting it, which I appreciate. And Cass having to step in and Cass saying, I need you. It's me, your best friend. And it's like a heartwarming thing. I think people might think it's too sweet, right? Just Cass saving Steph with friendship. But it's a callback to the bookstore when the proprietor calls them besties and Cass wondering what that is and Steph enlightening her. And I think just, again, strengthening that relationship. Because if Donovan is right that this is, potentially a Stephanie Brown arc, I think it's also really a Stephanie Brown and her relationship with Cass arc. So it's almost, I feel like it's more those two, but in certain aspects, like in her reactions to Tudor's gas or Spellbinder's hypnotism, that it is Steph heavy. But I feel like we're getting to know the relationship between these two women more than we are with Barbara and the other two. Colorful language from Steph. I think that this was one time the narration box was pretty clever. To quote the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who, beyond having incredible hair, said the following. What was it? The world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless. As such, we'll leave you to imagine Steph's dialogue. So that was pretty funny. The fact that Barbara, and I have to see if I see this detail, which I said that I'm afraid that Barbara or Dante is getting to Barbara somehow. Like he implanted some suggestion in her mind because on her computer, I don't know if I'll be able to find. Yeah, here on her computer, she has Canvas of Cognition by Charles Dante. So I'm a bit worried about that, even though she's Nightwing sexual. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. That she might have some sort of suggestion to get together with Dante. But I think it's ridiculous and does not make sense that Barbara would tell the girls to take this criminal here to a civilian rather than the police and then have the therapist come to them. That's so, I mean, going to, in a state, but basically this seems really suspicious. I mean, if this guy is as innocuous as he kind of seems to be, right? Just the civilian, he wouldn't be able to handle this guy. That makes no sense. So I'm hoping that Barbara is under some sort of suggestion by Spellbinder. Otherwise, yeah. What? So dumb. I think, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Just that it doesn't make sense at all. But yeah, as I thought, Dante was no good. I thought maybe he could be tutor, but really same place, same time didn't match up. So now he's actually the big wig in charge of everything. So we'll see. And I feel like maybe he's a big enough baddie that he outlasts this particular arc, but then I'm just confused about hierarchy because I thought Seer was going to unlock this or outlast this arc as well. I actually was trying to find that quote because I missed it where Stephanie says, I wondered what it would be like to be normal. But 11 days off. Good reason. I missed it. I just wanted the context. I think, oh, it was funny how she says, I will. Reading is fundamental, which I think was the bag that she put over her head in issue number 1. Huh. You wonder what I don't know. I used to, oh, there it is. Yeah. It's like bestie. It's like really good buds, best buds. Growing up the way we did, those are difficult to come by. I don't know. I used to wonder what it was like to be normal, to have friends, let alone a best friend. I guess we're lucky just to be alive. That is an interesting and insightful quote from her. Yeah, I think, honestly, I like to think of a really great, powerful Broadway musical called Next to Normal. And one of my favorite lines from it within, I think probably the penultimate song with Natalie talking to her father and say, no, I think maybe she was talking to her mother first. She says, she sings, I don't need normal. That's way too far away. Something next to normal would be okay. And I feel like this is, Steph, people like Steph and Cass, they'll never reach normalcy just with the upbringing, right? Both of them being raised by villains, one being raised to be an assassin kind of thing, both of them taking down their fathers. But they found something that's next to normal. And this life is next to normal for them, where they can at times lead a normal teenage girl life as they're doing that day. And she totally, she's not alone. They're not alone, right? They've found really strong friends and a family in the work that they're doing. So that, yeah. I'm sorry I missed it. I mean, I definitely read it, but missing that. Those are difficult to come by. What it was like. Used to wonder what it was like to be normal. So I think she's moved on past that, but she's definitely living, I think, next to normal. And I think she's, I ask people sometimes, more so friends or close friends, and having discussions, do you feel like you're living your best life? Do you feel like you're living a good life? And people's definition of a good life is going to differ, especially depending on if you have a spiritual background. There's going to be a particular aspect to a good life that other people may not attribute to a good life. And I feel like Steph and Cass are living at that moment, because that's another thing, I think you can live your best life at certain points in time, or you can live as best as you can, right? And I feel like right now, with what they're doing, they're living a good life. And for where they are right now, they're living their best life as well. Which, yeah, be completely different. This one panel you could have good discussions on, but just thinking, what would these ladies be like if they were alone? I mean, I think Cass can survive that way. I think she's just built in a different way, and that was just her upbringing. But I think Stephanie is one of the people that really needs a communal living, a communal life. And I think it'd be really hard for her, right? Um, Living alone, I think, would be really traumatic and sad for her, and she wouldn't be able to do it. So I think she thrives on being in this sort of situation, and having gal pals, and living it up and having some fun times, and also saving people as well. So, like I said, I enjoyed this. I don't know, like, if there were to be more of this kind of feel. And I don't really know what changed. I mean, the purple boxes weren't as intrusive. I think we were more focused, and the humor wasn't out of control. It came at good moments. And I just felt overall just much better about this. So if maybe we've reached it, the first three, because three is normally an arc, so maybe it just took that bit to get in touch. So fingers crossed for five, and hopefully I'm not alone. I'll have to check in with other people, but I think I'm going to give this, a 9 out of 10. What should I say? 9 out of 10 micro expressions. We'll do that. Could do bluffs or fibs as well. So there you go. Okay. Well, we are winding down. I have not watched any, and have I? Anime. There is an anime coming out that I'm actually really interested in, and it is about a Japanese bath designer who gets transported to Roman times, and I'm super excited about that. Belle comes out on DVD in May, so I recommend seeing that when you guys can. And yeah, I guess that's it. What had been taking up most of my time, I had been watching the best pictures for the Oscars. I like to watch as many, if not all, that I can. And I didn't like Power of the Dog, which unfortunately is up for many awards. I did not like Licorice Pizza. King Richard was okay, but I could have done without watching that as well. I really liked Belfast, and I really liked Drive My Car, though it took me 40 minutes to get into that. And that one just takes its space. But, Power of the Dog, you could say it takes its space as well, but I felt like there was more of a purpose with Drive My Car, and it was more poignant than Power of the Dog was. So we'll see. I've got a bet going with Heath Barr, who's been on the show a couple times, and so I need to finally beat him this year. He's beaten me the past 2 years of the most correct guesses of the Oscars. So we'll see. Okay, so no anime watch list. So now we're going to do my final segment, which is I should say, with the litter, or what are you wearing? Got my Virginia Ordonez, Deanna Ordonez. She graduated. She's on the NC Courage now, but they had some player teas that were coming out, which there was some drama involved with this, but I don't need to get into it. So, literature recommendations. I got into it because of the Clone Wars. I looked up, the best modern Star Wars books to read, which I've read a great deal of them, but was looking for other ones and wasn't sure if I should get into the High Republic stuff, even though I'm currently reading the first one of that. So let's see. Black Spire by Delia S. Dawson. After devastating losses at the hands of the First Order, General Leia Organa has dispatched her agents across the galaxy in search of allies, sanctuary, and firepower, and her top spy, V. Marathi, may have just found all three on a secluded world at the galaxy's edge. And this connects to Dawson's Captain Phasma. There are some characters that pop, V, and then Cardinal, whose name is not Cardinal. I can't remember what his name is in the book. And I also read Batman Detective Comics Volume 1, The Neighborhood, of course, because I was catching up on that. I read The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein, which follows the perspective of a dog and his life with his human. And you can find out about that or listen to us on the Required Reading with Tom and Stella episode in April. Yes. And I also read Dark Disciple by Christy Golden, which I was waiting to finish Clone Wars until to read this because I knew that it was Ventress led and it was based on unproduced scripts from the blockbuster TV show Star Wars: The Clone Wars. The only way to bring down the dark side's most dangerous warrior may be for Jedi and Sith to join forces. And so Voss, who appeared, I think, just in an arc of the Clone Wars, he is sent on an assassination mission to get rid of Dooku, and he is supposed to take Ventress along, but first he has to work with Ventress and kind of manipulate her into that, and they end up falling in love, and then there's some more drama with that, but definitely some shipping in there. And I think it brings up some good questions about political violence, which I'm not finished with it yet, but Quinoa did an episode of that, and just assassinations and the repercussions of assassinations, and not only the repercussions on, I suppose, the nation, but also on, I mean, not to be dramatic, but the ramification or the impact on your soul as the person assassinating and the ones deploying the assassin. I think that there are some things to be said about that for sure. I think no one gets off free once you do that. So, and this, it's a good time to talk about that since my dearly beloved Julius Caesar had died several hundred years ago in this very month. And many bad things happened after that because it wasn't just his death. And then, of course, it led into the very thing that they were trying to prevent. But anyways, so there are some deep questions with that. And I'm currently reading High Republic Book 1. And then, well, we'll see if I continue, I guess, with High Republic. But it's slow going. Unfortunately, I wish I could read more. But just, yeah, there's lots of readings I have to do for grad school. Got a project that's due at the end of this month. And then doing lesson plan stuff for my curriculum and instruction class. So we'll see. But it's crazy because this is like week 8 or week 9 and only 13 weeks left. So I'm almost done with this first semester. It's kind of crazy how fast it went, but it has been enjoyable and I've certainly been learning a lot. Okay, well, that's it. Remember, you can send any questions or comments to batgirltheoracle@gmail.com. Thank you for those who wrote into me today. And as you saw, you can also comment on the YouTube video, and I will also read those as well. Like the show on Facebook or follow it on Twitter at BatgirlTheOracle. Subscribe to the show on YouTube for an uncut version, which this one, there were many mistakes, but there you go. You also have me thinking about things too. follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well, and support the Batman Universe by subscribing to Patreon. Once again, thanks to Mile High Comics for sponsoring Batgirl the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. And until next time, which will probably be some quickies and the Birds of Prey, until then, fly on, Babs lovers.